You know, like I said, leadership gets talked about a lot, but not many people step up to the plate and lead. Companies know leadership is important, but in most cases have no idea how to develop leaders. And you got to look at this other thing. The born leader is a myth. What happens, which allows someone to be a good leader or in a leadership position for most cases, is they've had a good model or they had some type of model of leadership. What we model is people and behaviors. If you've been with a certain type of leadership and it was done through sarcasm or it was done through cynicism or skepticism or it was done through a negative attitude and it was harsh and it was a little brutal, well, most likely that's the type of leadership style you're going to emulate. And we need a better model to follow, and that's what this whole Pro 2717 program is about. Leadership is developed through a strategy. How in the times of crisis are we going to lead? How are we going to set a vision and effectively create a vision that allows all the associates and employees, the team members, to go ahead and know what the clear vision is? There is a strategy to that, but we are in a leadership vacuum. You've got to understand leadership is not a title. I don't care if you're a vice president, if you're a CEO, if you're a COO, if you're a chief leadership, whatever position, it doesn't matter. That's not what makes a leader. And right now in this day and age, we have a lot of people thinking, well, if I get to this title, then I could lead better. I'm telling you, leadership can happen anywhere within the organization. But we do need the leaders at the top to all be on the same page. They need to understand what is the best strategy for us to lead our teams. You cannot wing it. As I say this all the time, amateurs wing it, professionals practice. This means everything from creating a vision to elaborating on that vision to enrolling people in the vision. And then when it comes down to times of crisis and the challenges, how are we going to defend that vision? And then how are we going to grow as a leader, continue to get better in our own personal development? And then how are we going to help sharpen our teams and allow them to grow? And then how are we going to grow our vision? Right? And then how are we going to empower our people? This is what I call the EDGE model right here. And this is really something that is a strategy that you think about and you practice and you learn and you become good at before you just go out there and start leading. Now, some of you, I don't have that luxury, Ron. I've been put in this position today. I've got to lead today. Well, you better start getting your skills up to par very quickly. And now leadership is not about authority. Right? It's not just because you've been put in a position of authority that makes you a leader. I know tons of people in my career. I've dealt with lots of different levels of leadership, and just because they have a title or they're in a position in a hierarchy of leadership does not make them a great leader. As a matter of fact, it goes back to some of those statistics I talked about where 35% of the people, 35% of employees are not happy with this. That means would leave their company because 65% would leave their company because of their boss. 35% would be another reason. So look, that's what it comes down to. Leadership has nothing to do with how many people you employ, how many people you supervise or you oversee. If you have a team of 2 employees or you have a team of 500 employees, most of the time we're leading in small groups, and then that small group is leading their small group. So it has nothing to do with, well, I'm over 1,000 employees, so I'm a leader. No, you're not. You're just in a hierarchy of making decisions. And many people who are bosses, many people are bosses who think they're leaders, when really they are just that. They're bosses. What's the key word with boss? It's bossing people around. They tell people what to do. That's not leadership. Look, leadership is demonstrated, leadership is learned, leadership is a strategy, and then leadership is something that can be taught. For most good leaders, not great or outstanding leaders, but good leaders, they're just not on the poor end of it, but they might be good. They can get some results. If you ask them, okay, now, you need to train this person to be a leader. How do you do it? They have no clue. Right? It could be just from experience over years and years of being in a position, and they've kind of developed some habits and patterns that they do in behaviors. But when it comes to now demonstrating that to somebody else, mentoring a new leader on your team, that's where the strategy has to be clearly defined. And that's what this Pro 2717 leadership revolution is all about. Well, how do I know that we have a leadership void? How do I know this is true? Well, ask yourself. How many great leaders can you remember in your life personally? Whether it was with a company or was with on a sports team that you were on or in a church or something, how many great leaders come to mind? Great, outstanding leaders. Not just a good manager. I remember there was a guy who I was going to end up working for, and everybody said, oh yeah, he's a great leader. He's a great manager. He never talks to you. He leaves you alone. He lets you do your own thing. And it was true. I never had conversations with him. We never had follow-ups. We never had, hey, how's things going? We never had any accountability. That's not a good leader. Just because you're not involved in one of your employees' daily activities, or you don't have any clue what's going on and you just never talk only when there's a crisis or permission to spend money, that's not leadership. That's a leadership void, right? So how many people really stood out as a great leader in your life? Think about it and start to think about what are some of those characteristics that person demonstrated that caused them to be a good leader. And this is where we really have to get down to strategy and get past just, feel-good concepts. Let me ask you this question. If people didn't have to work for you, would they? If they didn't and they weren't forced to work for you because they're in a company or they're on a team, an organization, and you've been given the title and the authority to be the leader of that team, if they had their choice to pick a different boss, if you want to call it, or a different manager or supervisor, would they? That's a question that really has to reflect back on you. And 65% of the people said yes. If I had the choice to choose a different leader, I would. Right? If they were in a position where they had a choice of who their supervisor was, would they still choose you? Look, I know this is true because the number one reason for heart disease, like I talked before, is job dissatisfaction. And it's not the actual doing of the job that they hate. Some people, they could be motivated and excited doing a mundane act that they repeat, factory-type work, but they're still motivated. So it's not really, well, I have to do this and I have to do this. It's usually the leader, employee, the leader, subordinate, coach, team member relationship which really causes the conflict. More and more so-called leadership programs, training, and books come out every day. But the black hole of leadership just gets deeper and deeper. Why? Because almost all the leadership concepts are just glorified management techniques or learning the next new thing. Right? Leadership development and training and leadership books have focused on learning techniques and a little trick and a hint and a method, even if it comes down to communication. Well, do this and follow this model here and you'll have good communication. And they think they're going to develop their whole leadership program based on this one little technique. Well, that goes way beyond that. We want to think about this again. Why do great leaders stand out so much? Why do we remember people like Martin Luther King Jr. or John F. Kennedy or a Ronald Reagan or a Winston Churchill or Gandhi? Right? These people were leaders. Why did they stand out? Or the Jack Welches of the world or Steve Jobs, whatever it might be. It's because it's very rare to find somebody who is a great leader that actually gets a team behind them and people to say, yes, let's all move in this direction and go make that vision happen. This void has caused the need for a revolution and that overthrow, like I said. So we're not just talking about government here, but how we as leaders are leading our folks. Right? It's a radical and pervasive change in society. That's another definition of a revolution, and we've got to take some responsibility for it. We've got to say, yes, what skills have I learned to be a better leader? What skills am I applying? What accountability do I have that my leadership method, my leadership strategy is effective? So let's look at it.